eBay dropshipping is now like 90% automated, and I really don't think people understand how close we actually are to it being fully hands-off. And when I first started doing eBay dropshipping back in December of 2024, it was a lot of manual work. It took a lot more time to actually find winning products, list them onto your account, and then fulfill the orders when you got a sale. It was also a lot harder to keep track of inventory on your eBay account, and when an item went out of stock on Amazon, it was super hard to track that and delete the item from your store. But now most of the eBay dropshipping process is now fully automated, and I actually just launched a tool that fulfills orders for you automatically. It's called the auto fulfillment tool in Dropanion, and whenever you get a sale, it'll open up the pending order, look it up on Amazon, find the corresponding item, and then ship the product straight to your eBay buyer's shipping address. It'll also make sure to go back to eBay, mark the item as shipped, and then send a message to your buyer telling them when it's going to arrive. And then lastly, it'll go back and then it'll actually mark up the quantity so that way it can keep selling over and over again. And it also keeps track of all your profit for you in a dashboard. So in this video, I'm going to kind of break down what's automated now with eBay dropshipping, what you have to do on your own still, and then also why I think now is the best time for any beginner to get into eBay dropshipping. And I do want to mention this real quick right off the bat. This is not Shopify dropshipping or traditional dropshipping where you have to run ads, build a store, and do all that stuff. This is eBay dropshipping where I take products from Amazon, list them onto my eBay account at a higher price, and then when I sell an item on eBay, I go back to Amazon, find the same item, and ship it directly to my customer. It's honestly a pretty simple process, and most of the work is now automated. So you probably saw in my earlier videos, a lot of the process was still automated, like finding winning products, listing those products onto your account, keeping track of inventory. All that stuff was pretty hands-off, and it still wasn't a lot of time running my stores on the day-to-day. But there was still one part of the eBay dropshipping business that was taking up the most time still that wasn't automated really at all. And that was actually fulfilling the orders when you get sales on eBay. So before this new feature, every time you got a sale on your eBay store, you would have to find that item on Amazon, type in the address, go to the checkout, ship it right to your buyer, and then you'd have to send them a message, mark it as shipped on eBay, and just kind of do all those tedious tasks. And it's really not a ton of work if you're not getting a lot of orders every day, but once you start scaling up your store and you get to a point like on my main account where you're doing 10 to 15 orders a day, then it really does become kind of time consuming. So I decided to build a fulfillment tool on Dropanion that would pretty much eliminate that manual process entirely. So now I'm going to kind of jump onto my computer and show you what is now automated with eBay dropshipping, all the different things that you no longer have to worry about because AI is doing them for you. So the first thing that I'm going to go over that's automated is the product research and finding winning products to list onto your store. And so with Dropanion, you simply go to the product research tab here, and then here's how you kind of get those winning products. So the software is essentially finding other dropshippers on eBay, and then it's taking their winning products, scanning through their stores, and then it's giving you a list of hot products based on what other people are already selling on eBay. So you're essentially playing off of what other dropshippers are selling, and that way you're using only proven products that other people are currently buying. And so all you have to do to kind of start this process off is find a product on Amazon, and then the software is going to look that product up on eBay, find everyone who's dropshipping it, and then it's going to scan those dropshippers. So like you can't really go wrong here with what product you pick. It just has to be a product that has a decent amount of reviews on Amazon, so it for sure is being dropshipped. So like, let's go ahead and load up Amazon right here, and we'll try and find an item to start off with. And typically what I'll do is just look up like an item I know does well. But if you're a beginner, typically the categories that I like to start with are home decor, automotive, tools, that type of thing. So like a good starter point is to look up maybe like toolkit, something like that, or you can just look up home decor. It really doesn't matter too much. The goal right now is just to kind of find other people who are dropshipping. We want to take a look here, maybe find an item with a decent amount of reviews that's not an Amazon brand. So like looks like right here, this would be a perfect item. It has 4,800 reviews, so it most likely is going to be drop shipped on eBay. So go ahead and copy that, go back to our product research tool here, and then one thing to note as well is we can set the price range for what items we want to scrape. Typically for beginners, I would recommend starting with like 15 to 50 here. So this just essentially means like what items is it actually pulling from Amazon, what range of prices. So we'll keep that at 15 to 50 here, and then we'll go ahead and paste in our Amazon link and then click the collect sellers button. So we'll go ahead and click the collect sellers button here, and then as you can see, it's going to look that product up on eBay, and boom, we got some results here. A lot of people drop shipping this product. So this first step is essentially just allowing us to find other sellers. That way we can go through their stores and identify what's doing well. So we'll go back here to our product research tool, and as we can see, we have 5 sellers here that were scraped. And then kind of the last step we'll do to get some links that we can go ahead and list here in the next step that's automated is we'll click the scan sellers button. This is going to go through all these different storefronts. It's going to filter by only items that have been doing well for them, and then it's going to scrape them and look them back up on Amazon, and then kind of give us those products. And all these products it's looking up here at the top of the search bar on Amazon are products that have already sold for other people, so we know they're most likely going to do pretty well on our own account. So it'll kind of run through here, and if you have around 5 sellers, kind of what I've seen is that you'll get roughly 1,000 products. It'll run for like 10 to 15 minutes to actually get that amount, but for time purposes we can go ahead and just cut it off whenever. So we'll go ahead and stop it right now. But as you can see, as those products were being scanned on Amazon, it's building up a giant list for us, and these products are ready to go. And that brings us into our next step here, which is where we're going to actually list these products onto our account. And this step is also fully automated. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So now we want to move these products we just found into our auto lister section of Dropanion. And how we do that is we click this add to lister button here at the bottom, and then a pop-up is going to appear. We'll click OK, and then it's going to take us to our auto lister section. And all of these product links right here in this table are the winning products we just identified in the previous step. And so now we have kind of 3 things to choose before we click the start listing button and just kind of let it go to work. And so those 3 things are going to be markup, promoted ad rate, and the amount of links we want to list. And so typically for me, I'm always going to be doing a markup of over 80%. And that may seem high, like why would people buy an item that high priced on eBay? But when you do those lower markups, like anything below 70, I would say you're really just not making a ton of profit, and you need so many orders to actually make a decent amount of money. But when I sell an item for 100% markup, I'm making on average like $8 to $20 profit on every single order. So I don't need to sell as many products. So we'll go ahead and set this to 100. That's kind of what I'd recommend if you were to pick one. And so now we'll move on to the promoted ad rate. I pretty much always keep this at 5%. This is essentially how you're going to advertise on eBay, but you don't pay this amount up front. You only pay the 5% when the item actually sells. So keep that at 5, and then we'll go over here to links we want to list. And this is just how many products we want to actually go out onto our account. And I believe we only took around 42 from here, so we wouldn't be able to list any more than that. But for this example, we'll just go ahead and do 40. You could obviously do as many as you want as long as you have enough links here. But typically what I'll do is about 100 to 150 links every single day. Typically 125 is the most optimal range if you're looking for that exact number of how many products you should be listing every day. So we'll go ahead here and click the start listing button. It's going to open up our first product, and as you can see, it's going to scrape all the Amazon data, and then it's going to move on to our eBay tab where it'll actually fill in all the information. So the software is essentially taking all the key information from Amazon and then inputting that into an eBay listing for us automatically. You don't have to touch anything at all. Like, I'm not touching the screen. It's simply going to run through here, fill in all the information, and you'll see here in a second. So it'll go through here, put in all of our photos. It'll add a nice template just to kind of allow us to stand out from competitors, because most people are just using the generic photos. And then we're going to move down here to the title, and then the SKU that's going to get filled in. It'll kind of just keep chugging along and filling in all the key information that's needed. So as you can see, the brand, the MPN, the quantity, all that good stuff. And then it's also going to fill in the description here. And one thing to note is the description and the title, they're fully optimized by AI, and that allows you to stand out from competitors, because a lot of people just simply copy the title straight over from Amazon, which makes you blend in with everyone else. So like this Dropanion software allows you to kind of stand out from competitors, and you get chosen more often than other people. So after it fills in the price and all that stuff, it'll click the submit button, submit the listing onto your account, and then it's going to move on to the next product in the queue. And so we did 40 right here, so it would just keep going until it has 40 products done, and those are listed onto your account. And normally I just run it before bed. That way, that's when I'm not using my computer, so it can just kind of run overnight. And then in the morning, I wake up to new listings on my store. And so kind of the third feature that's automated that I'm going to go over is the inventory tracking. And so pretty much what this feature is going to do is remove all those bad items off your account. So like items that went out of stock on Amazon, it's going to make sure to take those off your account, because you obviously don't want to be selling products that are out of stock because you can't fulfill those. And also it's going to take items off your account that have a high shipping time on Amazon. The threshold that's kind of set for Dropanion is 10 days. So if any item has over a 10-day shipping time, it's going to automatically take that down, because at that point, it just doesn't align with your shipping policy, and it's going to take too long, and the buyer most likely will not be too happy with that. So I'll kind of just run through it here though to show you an example of how this works. I had this running a little bit before. I'll go ahead and clear it off, but essentially you're choosing the item you want to start on. Like normally if you're just running it from scratch, you would start on the first item, and then normally I keep that at 2. It's just how many Amazon tabs it's going to be opening up. And then we'll go ahead and click the start tracking button here, and then it'll pull all your listing data, since every time you do a listing with Dropanion, it gets synced up into a database, so it knows what products you've listed, what Amazon products were used for those eBay listings. So it'll kind of just open up here all of these products we have listed, and then one by one it'll look to see if they're in stock or if the shipping time's too high. And if any issues appear, it'll go ahead and mark it here. As you can see, it said one of these was bad. So this item, this lower back pain support here, looks to be a stock issue, so it went ahead and flagged that. So it'll show you up here how many you've scanned, how many are flagged, and then it would keep running though until it goes through all your listings. But you can stop it whenever you want, but normally I just let it run overnight, like maybe once a week, run this process, and it's going to weed through all those bad items. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it now just for time's sake, and then we'll go ahead and click stop here. But essentially after the items get flagged, it'll go back to eBay and take those products down, because as of now it just flagged the product. So the next step here is to click the proceed to eBay button, which is actually going to go ahead and identify these flagged items on our account, and you don't have to click anything here at all either. It's going to run through it and then look up those items that were flagged. But essentially after we're done with the scanning part, then the next step is to remove those items off of our eBay account, and the software will do that for you as well. Typically, if you let it run by itself, every 1,000 links it scans, it's going to go ahead and then automatically go back to eBay and then remove those bad items. But if you stop it here, like as we can see at the top, it's only scanned 11 products. If you stop it before 1,000 products are scanned, then you're going to have to click the proceed to eBay button down here by yourself to actually get these items removed. So I'll go ahead and show you. Looks like we have one item flagged here. So we'll click the proceed to eBay button. It's going to go back to our eBay account, find this item that was flagged, and then it's going to go ahead and mark the quantity down to 0. And it looks like this item is already marked down to 0 because I've been running the tracker. But what it would do is it would go here and update the quantity and make sure the item is out of stock. That way you can't sell it on eBay and then have to deal with that out of stock sale, which is kind of a pain. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys the new automated feature with Dropanion, which is the fulfillment tool. And then there's also kind of a bonus feature as well that goes along with it that I'll show you after that. But let's go ahead and move on here and show you the fulfillment tool, which is the tool that's going to be placing all of your orders for you, marking your items as shipped, and then messaging the buyer, telling them when the item is going to arrive. It's replacing all that manual work you had to do before. Okay, so now let's go ahead and walk through how the fulfillment tool actually works. And so essentially, it's only going to work if you have orders awaiting shipment, obviously. So like here, I have a bunch of orders that are waiting to be shipped out that haven't been shipped yet to the buyer. And so pretty much it's going to run through all these and order them for us. So here's kind of how it works. We'll simply go to our fulfillment tool here on Dropanion, and then all we have to do is put in a phone number we want to use for the orders. And you normally don't want to use the buyer's phone number just in case Amazon calls the number on file. So typically what I'd recommend doing is just putting your own phone number here in this slot. And after you have that, you're pretty much all set, and you just click the start fulfillment button right here. And so it's going to open up the orders tab. I'll kind of walk you guys through this as it's going. And so it'll identify the oldest order that needs shipped out. So then it'll look it up on Amazon, and looks like we have the same one here, which is stored in the database. And then it's going to go ahead and open up the checkout. And then it has all the information scraped from the order details. So it'll know what address to put in here. As you can see, it'll open it up and then simply paste in the address that we had on file from the buyer. And then our card is saved as well. And then everything looks good to go, and then it'll simply place the order, and then it's on its way and it's shipped directly to the buyer. But the fulfillment tool does not end there. It's going to go ahead and make sure to go back to eBay, send a message to the buyer and tell them when it's going to arrive. And this is based on when Amazon said it was going to arrive. So it looks like April 4th here for us. So it sends a message to the buyer, and then it's also going to mark it as shipped on eBay. That way eBay knows it's been shipped as well as the buyer. And then it's going to move on to the next item. Then after that, it's going to go ahead and open up this item and add the quantity back up so it can keep selling over and over again. So normally when you sell an item, it's at a quantity of 1 to start, and it's at 0. So the fulfillment tool marks it back up so it can keep selling over and over again. And it'll keep navigating to new items and keep fulfilling them until all your orders have been done. But it would keep going through, and it would do all the fulfillment for you, making sure to ship it to your eBay customer, mark it as shipped on eBay, send the buyer a message, and mark the quantity back up on eBay so it can keep selling again. It's kind of doing those core things. So I'm going to walk you guys through the other automation feature I just added as well. And if you've ever done an order by hand, you probably know how time consuming it is to actually put in like the profit data into a spreadsheet, like record the order numbers, how much you sold it for, how much you paid for the item. That can be pretty tedious. So I also have automated that process with Dropanion as well, and it's the new dashboard feature down here. So we'll go ahead and navigate to that. Basically, this is our accounting tab for our eBay dropshipping business. It's going to show us kind of how much we've made in the past month, how much we've made in the past year. Just give us some other figures like our average order profit and stuff like that, as well as how many total items we've sold, and then like a nice chart down here. I only have data inputted like late March because this tool kind of dropped around then, so that's why there's like no sales over here in this category. But as you can see down below, it kind of shows us all of our order rows as well. So like everything you were putting into the spreadsheet manually with like doing the fulfillment process on your own, that it's kind of now all in Dropanion. So like we can see here in March, the fulfillment tool dropped. Looks like March 16th is when it came out, and these are all the orders that I've done since then, and it kind of stores all the profit for us and all these sheets and everything, so it makes it easy to file taxes and just keep everything organized. And you can export it whenever you want as well. So like export the data here and it'll make a nice CSV file for you. It's just overall nice to have just to see how you're doing on eBay. And you can also import previous data as well. So like let's say you were doing a few months worth of orders by hand, you can import that spreadsheet you already have made, and then it's going to add to these rows here, and everything just kind of stays organized in Dropanion. So now we're at a point where pretty much the 4 core things and 4 core most time consuming parts of eBay dropshipping are automated, which is finding winning products, listing those products onto your account, keeping track of inventory, as well as doing the fulfillment and then the accounting work. All of that is pretty much automated. And so you might be wondering what is left for you to do since all this is automated. What do you still have to do if I'm opening up eBay account today and starting off? What stuff do I still have to worry about? And I'm going to go over all of that next. Okay, I would say there's probably still 3 main things remaining that you have to do yourself that's not automated yet. And the first would be customer messages. This is essentially responding to customers when they ask about your product. If they have a question about it, like maybe ask about the features, something along those lines, you still have to kind of go in, look at the item details, and generate a response. You can definitely use AI to help you, but it's not at the point where it's automatically sending messages to buyers. It doesn't take a super long time, especially if you have the eBay app on your phone. You can just go in, like if you're bored or if you have any break during the day, and just respond to people, but it's still something you have to do to keep your account afloat. So the second main thing you still have to do would be returns. And with eBay dropshipping, the return rate I've typically seen is around 4%, so it's nothing too high at all. My accounts are around 3 to 4, maybe even 5% sometimes. So like not too bad in terms of volume, but the returns definitely still happen. And especially with the way I teach, I recommend matching the Amazon return policy on eBay. So your return policy you make when you first start your account is going to allow for free returns within a 30-day window. So you're definitely going to get a handful of people who just want to send the item back because they didn't like it or whatever other reason. But it really doesn't matter too much because you're always breaking even on the transaction because you're waiting for them to ship the item back to Amazon, and then you issue a refund to the eBay buyer after you've already gotten your money back. So this also, I guess, kind of ties into the customer messages type of thing as well, because the typical procedure when you get a return on your account is to go to Amazon, find that order, and then file for a return with Amazon. And once you get like the QR code or the shipping label that they give you, you're going to go ahead and screenshot that and send it in a message to your buyer on eBay. So you're just kind of relaying the return information from Amazon over to your eBay buyer, and then at that point, it's a waiting game. You're just waiting for the eBay buyer to ship the item back to Amazon, and then you can actually kind of track it. That's kind of how you know when to issue a refund to your eBay buyer. You wait for Amazon to send you the money back for that item, and then once they do, you'll just go ahead and send the eBay buyer their refund and then move on to the next item. Not complicated, just a process you have to follow, and still work you definitely do have to do. And so the last thing that is still not automated that you have to spend time on is dealing with item not received cases. You may be wondering what this is, and an item not received case is essentially when a buyer opens up a formal case on eBay and says that their item didn't arrive. And these are actually pretty important to keep an eye on, because if you don't respond within the time frame that eBay gives you, eBay can go ahead and take action on your account, which you don't want to happen, but that's very preventable as long as you respond in a timely manner. In the process I normally go through when I get an item not received case is I first figure out what's going on Amazon. So I find the eBay order number that corresponds to the item not received case. I look that up in my spreadsheet, which allows me to find the Amazon order number, and then I locate the item on Amazon and I see the order details that correspond to the item not received case on eBay. And a lot of the time you will see that Amazon says the item has been delivered, but your eBay buyer is saying that it hasn't. And that's when there's kind of a disconnect there. And when that happens, what I'll normally do is Amazon will typically give you a picture of like the delivery, whether it's the item on the front porch or something like that. I'll go ahead and screenshot that and just send it over to my eBay buyer and then say, hey, did you end up receiving the item? Here's a picture I have of the order being delivered. Then I kind of wait for a response from them. And sometimes they'll still say like, I didn't get the item. I don't know what happened. Maybe in that case, it just got stolen or something like that. But if the buyer is ever saying that they really truly didn't get their item, it doesn't really matter what it says on Amazon. It's always best to just refund the eBay buyer. And then the approach you take is after you send a refund to your eBay buyer, then you go to Amazon and just get your money back for the item. So you can just go into an Amazon customer service chat and then say you didn't get the item. It's totally fine to do, because if your eBay buyer is saying they didn't get the item, then it most likely there was an issue with the transaction. And so you can go ahead and relay that same information that your eBay buyer is saying to Amazon, and then Amazon will almost always give you a refund. So in that case, you just still break even on the transaction. There's also sometimes though where you're going to open up the Amazon order and then it's going to say that there's an issue with the shipment, or it's arriving late, or Amazon already issued a refund because there was a problem in transit. Anything like this happens, I'll typically err on the side of caution and just also refund the buyer on eBay. That's kind of the safe approach you always want to take. Maybe first send a message to them and just kind of tell them what's going on. But if they're kind of saying they want a refund, or if they don't want their item anymore, then I would highly recommend just sending a refund to the eBay buyer, just getting your money back from Amazon, because you really don't want to mess around with the item not received cases. But it's pretty straightforward. I don't want to overcomplicate it or anything. eBay will give you a window when you have to respond by. Typically it's like a week or maybe around that time frame, but as long as you respond within that window, you're totally fine. So you don't have to worry about these really at all. As long as you follow the right procedure, you're totally fine. And it's mapped out in the Dropanion Discord, and there's a full step-by-step guide for it. So now I want to walk you guys through kind of some of the results I've been getting recently and show you my main eBay account that I've scaled up to 25,000 listings, which is pretty attainable for anyone after a certain amount of time of listing. Like, you can definitely scale up to that same amount. I'll kind of show you the results now of like what you can expect at that volume. Then I'll also show you an account that only has 10K listings, just because that may seem more attainable for beginners. So I'll show you both and kind of the numbers that I do on each of the accounts. So here's kind of the overview of my main eBay account, which, as we can see, if we navigate to our listings tab, is at 24,800 listings, so right around 25K. Just been scaling it up over time. I've had this account for a decent amount of time, so it's been scaling up. And over the past 90 days, I've done 80,000, close to 81,000 in total sales. Obviously, that's not profit at all, but that's kind of the revenue I've done. And then I've done 1,400 orders. You can kind of see on my graph here, like the sales are right around 1,000 every single day. So we did 857 today. Yesterday was like 1,100. I've even had days where I've gone over 2,000 in sales. And you're probably also wondering, like, on that revenue, what are you typically making in profit? And I would say for the revenue wise, like, I'll make around 20 to 30% of that as my take home net profit after accounting for eBay fees, like paying the tax on Amazon, all of that. So typically, let's say here, like the past 7 days, I've done 6.6 thousand in sales. So that would be around 1,000 in profit for this account. It'd be around 1,000 in profit for this account, up to like 1,500, depending on the margin and how much profit I'm making on each order. But it's all simply a volume game, and the reason why I'm getting so many sales isn't because I'm spending all day finding perfect products and like super hot selling products to sell on my account. It's because of mainly the volume and the fact that I listed so many items to the point where it really would be unreasonable for me not to get a lot of sales. And the nice part about it is it's pretty much fully automated by the software. So now I'll kind of walk you through my other account here that doesn't have as many listings, which it has 9,800 listings here, which is still a very solid amount, but this is super attainable. This is super attainable for any beginner to get to. Really only takes around 3 to 4 months of consistent listing to get to this point. But I'll show you my profit and revenue on this account and everything, all those numbers. I want to be super transparent and just show you guys what I'm making, not sugarcoat any of the numbers. And so past 90 days here, we've done $20,600 in revenue, and then we've done 607 orders. Here's kind of the daily chart of and kind of what I'm making every single day. It looks like 200 to 300. Today was actually a pretty good day. I did 363. And still making around 20 to 30% net profit on whatever revenue I bring in. So like last 7 days, this account did 1,200 in sales. So I probably did around 200 to 300 total in profit. And that's kind of what I typically see for accounts with 10,000 listings. Kind of the rule of thumb to go by is every 10,000 listings you have on eBay will be around 700 to 1500 in profit every single month. Normally it's around that 1,000 mark. So like if you're just running one eBay account, it's super attainable to get to that 1,000 profit every single month mark, as long as you stay consistent and list up to 10,000 products. So a lot of people always wonder, can you do this as a complete beginner with no experience in e-commerce or eBay at all? And the answer is 100%. You definitely can, because this is one of the rare business models where you really don't need to come in with a ton of skills at all. You can really not have any e-commerce skills or have any knowledge of what e-com even is and still do really well with eBay dropshipping, just because most of it is automated and you're only left to do a few things. It just comes down to understanding the core business model and then clicking a few buttons on the software and then dealing with customers, customer service. That's kind of what's left on the table. It really just comes down to you staying consistent and making sure you're using the software to list products every day and you're fulfilling the orders. It's just going to keep compounding and snowballing to the point where you're making really solid amount of money every single month, and you can start with a completely brand new eBay account. It does not matter. And we definitely aren't at a point where it's 100% automated yet, where you can literally just have the eBay store run itself, but I really don't think we're too far from that. And with AI progressing how it is, I think in the very near future it's going to get to a point where you literally just have to open up an eBay account and the store will run itself pretty much. But I think now is honestly the best time to get into eBay dropshipping and open up an eBay account, and the main reason why is because your eBay account ages over time and it becomes better as time goes on, and eBay starts to trust you, as you sell more items, as you get feedback. And so the best time to start is really now, because if you start as soon as possible, you're going to be building up sales, building up feedback, and gaining eBay's trust, so that later down the line you have an account that performs well and that eBay already says, okay, this seller is good, we trust him, and we're going to bring him more sales. That's kind of how eBay works, and it's all a momentum game. The more sales you get, it's just going to keep leading to more and more sales, especially as you keep listing more products. And so there's really no better time to get started than now, and also because most of it's automated, so the barrier to entry is super low. And eBay dropshipping, as saturated as it may seem, it's really not at the point yet where it's too saturated, where you can't make any money. It's kind of that perfect balance where it's pretty easy to enter into it, but you're also able to make a really solid amount of money every single month. For any beginner, the main thing is just opening up your eBay account, getting some products listed, getting some sales, just learning how eBay dropshipping works, and then you can scale it from there. And really the sky's the limit with this. It's a business that scales super easily, and it's just kind of a matter of listing more products and you're gonna get more sales. So yeah, eBay dropshipping is definitely a completely different game than it was just a few years back before AI. AI is really taking off and progressing super fast and just allowing things to become so automated. So that's especially affected eBay dropshipping, and with the software I built called Dropanion, we utilize AI for a lot of the processes that are built into the Chrome extension, and it just makes everything super efficient and allows you to stand out from the competitors and get ahead of those people who are doing everything manually and not using AI to their advantage. If you want to check out Dropanion, which, being fully transparent, is the software I built and I sell, then it's linked in the description. And I also have a free Discord, though, if you just want to learn a little bit more about eBay dropshipping and kind of get your account set up and your first item done. That's where you'll find information on that in the free Discord, which is linked in the description as well. But feel free to drop a comment if you have any questions at all. I'd be happy to answer them. You can also reach out to me whenever through text or through a Calendly link I have as well in the description. You can book a free call with. I'm always willing to hop on a call and help explain things or help you kind of scale whatever situation you're in. But thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more videos on eBay dropshipping, and I'll see you in the next video.